Hello. Good evening. I hope everyone's doing well. Hold on, I am getting a bit of an echo. All fixed. Okay, great. Thank you all for joining. It is Wednesday, April 8th at 6:30 p.m., and I'm ready to call this meeting to order. I will read the chair's statement that this meeting is being recorded by Greenfield Community Television, GCTV, and if any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify me at this time. Is anyone else recording? Great. No. All right. Secretary Webb, will you please do a roll call of members?
Secretary Webb, I am here. Vice Chair Childs.
Here.
Member Deneve.
Here.
Mayor DeSorger.
The mayor is unfortunately ill and will not be joining us for this meeting.
Member Deitman.
Here.
Member Goodwin.
Here.
Chair Sexton.
Here. All right, we are 6 of us out of 7 are here. We have a quorum, and at this time I would like to welcome any public comment. So if you are a member of the public and you would like to make a comment and you have registered with our recording secretary, Nan, please do so. And the sort of stipulations around public comment are that each person gets 3 minutes. They can speak to an item. It doesn't have to be on our agenda, but it does have to be related to what the schools actually can do. And we would appreciate if all or any members of the public giving public comment did so respectfully. All right.
Not a chance.
If you could give for us your name and your relationship to the schools.
Doug Selwyn. I'm a community member.
Great.
I have a few things to say quickly, I hope. First of all, it has to do with volunteering in the schools. A couple of us went in to renew our quarries, or whatever you call it, that you get the official, yes, you can come into schools. And it was near impossible to do. And we came away with the impression that you really don't want volunteers. And I suspect that's not accurate. I mean, I suspect you do want volunteers to come in, but it was a really difficult process. So I would just ask you to check that out and see if there are ways to, I don't know what's within your purview, what the state says, et cetera. So just check that out. Secondly, I want to talk about what is happening at the state level, where the governor is pushing very hard and fast to basically bring back the MCAS 3.0. They're calling it something else. They're talking about it as end-of-course tests, but these are tests that are standardized, that are prepared by the state, scored by the state, and everybody does the same thing. It's basically MCAS 3.0, and they're going as fast as they can. And I would urge you collectively and individually to contact our legislators, the panel of education, the education committee at the legislature, to say, slow down. There's so many different moving parts to this, and the fact that they're trying to move so quickly means that it's not going to be well thought out. The state, we voted pretty decisively that we don't want those high-stakes standardized tests to be part of graduation. She's trying to bring them back. So I would urge you to be active in that. The third piece is, and connected to that, is making sure that you're arguing against any unfunded mandates. Lord knows we don't need more of those. The third piece is that there is, talking about funding, the insanity of trying to figure out how to fund the schools that we are dealing with here. There are at least 270 other districts having the same conversations right now. There is not enough funding that is going to schools. There are 270 districts or more that are in hold harmless, which means that they are essentially drowning. So pushing the state to reopen, look at the funding formula, pushing the state to look at the 82.5% cap that I can go into more detail about when I've got time, that is making sure that poor districts are getting screwed and the wealthier districts are getting off, is part of why we are in such dire straits. And I think as we knock ourselves out trying to solve things here, we have to recognize that a lot of this is coming from outside of us. And we've got to be active politically and in conjunction with other districts to make change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would wish to make public comment at this time? All right. I have asked the same question online. I just saw a new person join. So if anyone online would like to make public comment, you are welcome to either put your name in the chat, virtually raise your hand, or come off mute and say your name at this time. All right. Hearing and seeing none, let's go on ahead, close public comment, and go into our fourth item, recognition, one of our educators.
Good evening, school committee and everybody out there in TV land. Have a great presentation to make tonight. The headline is Greenfield Middle School teacher Lisa Morrison receives the 2026 Pioneer Valley Excellence in Teaching Award, otherwise known as the Grinspoon Award. Few nice things about Lisa and why she's so deserving of this. So Lisa has been selected by the Greenfield Public Schools as their sole 2026 Pioneer Valley Excellence in Teaching Award, as many of you know it as the Grinspoon Awards as well. Lisa consistently goes above and beyond to create positive, memorable experiences for students. She leads an intramural after-school club, even volunteering her time when it is not a paid position, and organizes the highly anticipated annual student-teacher dodgeball tournament. Each Friday, she recognizes a student as the MVP, celebrating not just their athletic ability, but character, sportsmanship, kindness, and community mindedness. By highlighting a wide range of strengths and uplifting diverse talents, Lisa fosters an inclusive environment where students feel valued and inspired to bring their best selves forward. According to Greenfield Middle School Principal Michelle Fenimore, who is right here, I'll read a quote. Mrs. Morrison has a remarkable gift for seeing the unique strengths in every student and designing experiences that allow each one to shine, whether it's building confidence in a hesitant learner, challenging a natural athlete to lead, or finding creative ways for students to demonstrate teamwork and perseverance. She ensures that all students feel successful and valued in her class. Her commitment to inclusion, encouragement, and growth make physical education a place where every student can thrive. Professionally, Lisa embraces school-wide instructional initiatives, thoughtfully adapts to the unique context of physical education. She designs engaging, dynamic classes that encourage full participation. Students are enthusiastic, active, and eager to be involved. With a wide variety of activities that extend beyond traditional competitive team sports, she ensures that every student can find success in enjoyment and movement. A collaborative and positive member of the school community, Lisa exemplifies the social emotional qualities that she works to instill in her students each day. And we are honored to present this award to Lisa Morrison, who will be honored in a celebratory banquet at the Log Cabin in Holyoke on May 6th, 2026. So we have a nice small little certificate to present to her, and I know her principal, Ms. Fenimore, wanted to say just a few things.
Good evening. All of that is what Lisa exemplifies on a daily basis, and she is such a gift to the students and the staff at GMS. She takes such pride in what she does, and her PE classroom is one of the most academic classrooms I've ever been in. She has very high standards for our kiddos, and we are just so proud of her.
All right. Congratulations, Lisa. Nice job.
Thank you so much. Did you want to say any words?
Sure. Do I just push the button?
You got to get it green. Hold on.
Oh, okay, thanks. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'd just like to say this whole experience has been really lovely. Obviously, I don't work alone, but feeling appreciated means a lot. I have to be honest, though, this really just feels like a massive win for the GMS team, and I'm just this year's captain. There's so much good stuff going on at GMS, and I am just one small piece. Every colleague that I work with, just, they work just as hard, if not harder than I do on a regular basis. We're really, it feels like I work in a very special place. It's like a family, and I think that really starts at the top. When you have leaders like Michelle and Alan who make their staff feel supported and valued on a daily basis, it makes us all come to work every day wanting to show up for the kids and for each other. So I just feel very grateful to work where I work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I look forward to joining you at that banquet in May. Excellent. So now we are inviting up our student representative to give the student report. Thank you, Lauren.
Okay, starting off strong with Student Council. Student Council will be hosting a fancy formal wear giveaway on Friday, April 10th, right after school for GHS students only, and then again on Saturday, April 11th, from 11 to 1 for all high school students looking for something formal to wear to prom or to another fancy event. We collect items year-round, so if you have something you'd like to donate, please drop it off in the main office during school hours or at the Greenfield Garden Cinemas evenings and weekends. On April 29th, Student Council will be hosting the WMASC Spring Conference, gathering students from all across Western Mass to discuss and improve students' leadership qualities. The conference will run all day. Caden Viansek will be campaigning and running for the Regional Board Secretary position. Key Club. During the month of April, Key Club will focus on community service and picking up litter. There are some planned events to clean up downtown and the bike path on April 11th, and Key Club students will be cleaning up around the GHS campus and parts of Shattuck Park. The club plans to schedule another trip to AEL as part of the United Way's Read, Learn, Succeed program. Athletics. Spring sports started on March 27th with a 16-1 win for softball against South Hadley. Boys and girls tennis started on April 1st and 2nd, and they had their first meet on April 7th. Please come out and support our student athletes. Go Green Wave. French Club. Several GHS students, staff, and family members depart soon for a 10-day adventure in France during April break. Key spots visited will be Paris, Strasbourg, Dijon, Lyon, and Annecy. Mark your calendars for the Thursday, May 7th Spring Coffee House Talent Show from 6 to 8 p.m. in the GHS Auditorium. Admission is $5 for students and $10 for adults, which does include light refreshments. Library Club. On Tuesday, April 7th, Library Club hosted the annual Poetry Slam and Writing Showcase in the GHS Library. AV Club. Join us for the 2026 GHS and GMS Film Fest on Friday, April 17th from 5:30 to 8:30 in the GHS Auditorium. There will be good food and good films. Submissions accepted through April 10th. Hope to see you there. And finally, we have Students of Color Club, and they are hosting a dodgeball tournament on Friday, April 10th from 6 to 9 p.m. Pre-register by scanning the QR code found on the posted flyers, or you can contact Nate Woodard as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any comments, questions, clarifications? Great. Thank you. I look forward to attending some of the events that you outlined. Great. Moving on, our next item is getting some reports from some of our principals and the director of AEL. So we invite the three of you to come on up together, have a seat. We've got,
If I,
yeah,
I'll intro.
sure, yeah, you can intro them and
Perfect.
take them as they come in the agenda.
Thank you, Chair Sexton. We're happy to continue tonight what we did last month with three of our schools, and we have three of our elementary schools here as well tonight. Carol Jacobs from Newton, Jill Taglia from AEL, and Kelly Halpin from Federal Street School. We're here to tell you some of the great things that are happening at their school with their students and their academics and their attendance, and then be available, obviously, for any questions that you might have. So take it away.
the way that they're listed, the way that they're listed in the agenda is actually that Kelly starts first, and then we have Carol, and then Jill. So, great.
So, first, I'd like to just say thank you so much for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to share the wonderful things that happen in our schools. Bragging about Federal Street is one of my favorite things to do, so this is a real pleasure. So, we can jump right into the next slide. Federal Street enjoyed starting the 2025-26 year off on a high note when we received our accountability data from DESE. As you know, DESE sets improvement targets for each school and then tracks their progress toward those targets. This year, we were able to meet or exceed 83% of those targets. The chart shows the last 3 years of progress. So in 2023, we met or exceeded 15% of the targets, 2024, 62%, and then in 2025, 83% of the targets. So we've enjoyed a nice steady increase. The next slide shows some specifics about what we've been meeting or exceeding. For our elementary schools, K to 4, there are just 3 areas that DESE evaluates our accountability. One is academic progress, which is solely based on 3rd and 4th grade MCAS. The growth target, which for us is just one cohort of students that goes from 3rd grade to 4th grade, as well as our chronic absenteeism. So for us in 2025, we exceeded every math target. For our growth targets, we exceeded the typical growth for our peers across the state. And for chronic absenteeism, we exceeded every target set for us. Our did reveal some opportunity for growth, and that specifically is our English language arts and literacy. And so we've had tremendous support from the district in really trying to plan how we're going to provide that support. We have partnered district-wide with Teaching Lab to focus on our literacy skills. We have implemented an early reading skills diagnostic assessments, the CORE and PASS. That has allowed us to take a more granular approach. It has been able to show us phonologically and phonetically where students may have some unfinished learning. And after revealing that, we're able to address those specific needs with the use of UFly. That we started implementing this year, and that supports that small targeted small group instruction. And we have also focused our professional development on small group literacy instruction and intervention. So that's been done with a whole lot of support from the district. So beyond our ELA and math that we're assessed on, we certainly focus on other areas. And at Federal Street, we do a lot of intentional support of social and emotional learning. Teachers deliver weekly lessons in Second Step. We have a social competency of the month that every classroom focuses on. We have classroom buddies, so each classroom is connected with another classroom. Whenever possible, it's a younger classroom with an older classroom, and they get together monthly and have lessons on whatever the social competency of the month is. So this month they'll be focusing on self-management. And we are also implementing a restorative practices learning pilot. And so the next slide has some details about our restorative practices pilot. So we've taken several steps toward implementing restorative practices at our school. We have a restorative practices team within the building. We have partnered with the Collaborative for Educational Services, specifically their Joy and Justice in Schools. They have supported our professional development for our teachers. We have hired a restorative practices coordinator as well as a restorative practices staff person through AmeriCorps. Our teachers participate in weekly professional development that happens during their collaboration time. And we have started a professional development series for our instructional assistants. That's a 6-part series at this time, and they just participated in their first training on Monday. So we're excited to add them into the work that we're doing, as they're such a valuable part of our community. We also have a lot of community collaborations with Federal Street. We collaborate with Playworks, as all of the elementary schools do. That they've done some wonderful work providing some structure, support, and training for our recess staff, making recess productive and playful time. We collaborate with Dig In, who brings in samples of farm fresh fruits, allows the children to sample them, and they rate the items, and then if it has a positive reaction, then it might be found on their lunch menu in the next month. We have a Girls on the Run team that is coached by some wonderful teachers and parents, and they will be having a 5K celebration in the first week in June, I believe. As I mentioned, we work with the Collaborative for Educational Services in support of our restorative practices work. We also have a wonderful collaboration with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We have a lunch buddy group where bigs in the community that are connected to Big Brothers and Big Sisters come in, and they have lunch with their littles once a week. It has really been a wonderful connection. Some of the stories of the relationships that have developed that extend far beyond Federal Street is really been touching in so many ways. And it was so successful that this year we were able to expand a bit. And we added what we call our Buddies with Badges. So a thank you to the Greenfield Police Department, who has allowed some of their police officers to be a part of the program. It's been wonderful. So we're very lucky to have that collaboration as well. And lastly, I just wanted to highlight some of the fun that we have at Federal Street. We do a lot of intentional community building and just really making it a happy, warm place to be. We have events like our Turkey Trot in the fall. We have a Polar Express Day in the winter. We have monthly classroom buddies and all school meetings. We participate in a wreath walk, which is a wonderful community service project that the students do. We are not just school-wide, but district-wide, all reading the same book right now with our One School, One Book project. They are loving it. We have literacy and math nights. We are also fortunate enough to have a really amazing active PTO that they also really prioritize belonging and community, and they make it a priority to create some special events for us, like the Fall Family Fun Night. They do Valentine making. They supported the Cardboard Challenge, and they usually end the year with a really fantastic end of the year barbecue. So I think things are great at Federal Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Similar to how we did it last time, we'll have all the folks give presentations and then we'll do Q&A. Yes. I'm not sure that I have your PowerPoint. Okay. Great. I'm going to stop sharing my screen then.
Yes, Kelly was more organized. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Melissa. All right, so thank you for having us. As Kelly said, for me, this has been a treat, a true treat. So when I started at Newton last December 6th, it was, started out to be one of the best experiences of my career, and I've been at it 47 years. So the first order of business when I came on board, we had to really work on the culture and fostering a sense of team and community. The school had experienced a number of leadership changes. Mel Goodman was the last, I would say, long-term principal. And she had a lot of things solidified, but then, new people come in, things change. So I would describe when I first started there as, people were in survival mode, and they just really needed somebody to come in and just stabilize things and to build on the good things that were happening, and then identify some low-hanging fruit that if we did it, we would be very successful in terms of our goals. In my first meeting, I said to them, we're going to bring the joy back to Newton. Joy is a very big deal to me. I don't want to go to work every day in a place that is miserable, or I want to feel joy. And to me, watching children and teachers learn and grow and work together is the ultimate joy. So it is my hope and dream that that will continue with the next principal who's coming on board. Working conditions are extremely important to me. I didn't put it up, but I'm going to show you. I started with our why. So everything we do in all of our schools starts with our students. Our students are what we are all about. So always keep every decision is like, well, what's going to be best for the kids? So our why. There were some major areas of focus that we did. My task when I came on board was to work with all the stakeholders, build and strengthen a sense of hope and joy, working together in the following areas. So we had to look at the culture. We also had to work at systems and structures, because there were there was a lack of them, I would say, from arrival and dismissal, to the SST process. And so we started with structures and systems. And then it was there when I came. It was the Newton Way is our sort of tagline for what we do. Everything we talk about is about the Newton Way. Our discipline is around the Newton Way. Our culture building activities are around the Newton Way. The students, we recognize students following the Newton Way. My job is to work with students to see if they're not following the Newton Way, what they need to do to follow the Newton Way, and I've been really proud of the kids. We also, PBIS and MTSS, as Kelly said, PBIS is positive behavior intervention and supports. All the systems we're doing in the district are tiered. So they start out with tier 1, everybody gets it. Tier 2 is a little more supportive for the students who need more. And then tier 3 is sometimes a completely different animal, but it's all related to what the student can do and is having trouble doing or is being successful at. So PBIS and MTSS were something that we started to really put together this year. It is a work in progress, but we've got some good things in place. Small group instruction, as Kelly said, that's been a big focus for the district. And I have to say, for the Newton students, when we first looked at some of the results, it was what I'd call a sea of red, which meant that they were well below grade level. When I looked at the results just the other day, I was pleasantly surprised how many students are now in the green and the blue, which is the top 2 levels. That's because we've been doing a better job of targeting what students really need, and then instructing them based on that, and then tracking their progress. So it's been a game changer, the work we're doing with UFly, I think, this year. And then collection of data. We do collect more data than any place I've ever been. But I have to say, the data we're collecting is important, and that the teachers are able to use it. And that is what I'm talking about when I'm saying we know little Johnny or Sally, where they are, what they need to do. We have a way to get them what they need, and then we track that and move forward. There's an old expression, if you don't know where you're going, any road will do. So if you don't have any sense of the data, we're just teaching the curriculum, but we're never really sure whether or not it's being effective. So that's something that we've really worked on. And then just in general, positive youth development. Helping students understand that, we all make mistakes, nobody's perfect, but that we have a responsibility to take care of the things that we have to take care of. And funny story, I had a little boy, he came into my office, this was last year, he came and sat in my red chair, and I was doing my work, and this is a little boy at the beginning of the year who really could not regulate himself and could not admit he did anything wrong. He's sitting in the chair, and I said to him, hey, what's going on? He said, I made a bad choice. I said, you did? What was the problem? He told me exactly what he did, and I said, well, you know how it works, we gotta fix it, right? He told me what he thought he should do to fix it, he fixed it. So that's the kind of progress when I'm talking about positive youth development, is, like getting kids to think that they can control a lot of things. We have 3 goals, just as the other schools do for school improvement. The first one is performance on reading and math. And again, we're using the same kind of things Kelly talked about and David talked about the last time, our DIBELS, our core pass, the designated intervention blocks, which are sacred, is the word that we use. Our teachers ensure that they have them every day. So it's not an afterthought. It's a really carefully planned time. It targets our foundational skills, and we've been conducting learning walks, which I know you've probably heard about. Those are really, I find them to be very useful and very helpful. And I do share the feedback with the teachers and any suggestions that get made. And they're really welcoming to that. I mean, they really have a lot of opportunities to evaluate where they are and what they'd like to do as teachers. So in terms of just supporting that goal, the math goal and the reading goal, Beth Brady is our math interventionist, does a phenomenal job. So I asked her, I said, well, what can we point to as some of our progress? So she uses something called the USNS Math Screener, and she's also trained in math recovery and does a lot of those strategies, modeling them with teachers, and it's really beneficial to our students. So she basically pushes into classrooms 30 minutes a week in many grades, and she also targets instruction based on the core skills. It's fascinating. She's a chart maker and all color codes, and it is really amazing what results she's seeing with students. So the math interventionist, huge support. Also, in terms of the school's literacy, in every single class, every single grade, we have seen well over 50% of the students growing one or more levels. So we still have some students in the red, but even though they're in the red, they've made progress. We're not asking for perfection, we're just asking for progress, right? Goal 2 is building a school culture that supports all learners, all being capital letters. So we're trying to get a PBIS committee together. I hired a couple of new teachers who have a lot of experience with it, and so they're really helping sort of bring the school a little further along. We work on instilling the Newton way in every aspect of the school. Classroom incentives, kids love them. There's a pajama days that one day the 4th grade wanted to build forts, so they brought their blankets and then they built forts under their desks and did their work. And teachers let them know, if you do these things, you're going to earn it, and they get to choose. So there's a lot of ownership and excitement about it. I'm focusing on a multi-tiered system of discipline. I don't have the restorative practice training that Kelly has, but I understand we're going to get it next year. I'm not going to get it, but we're going to get it next year. But I am very big on logical consequences and restorative practices, and students owning their problems, and that's come so far this year. Playworks, Kelly mentioned it, I don't need to say more, but we're really excited about the fact that we've seen targeted amounts of improvement on the playground, especially in relationship to physical altercations and name calling. We're embracing the junior coach model for our 4th graders and the 3rd graders. We do have classroom buddies, and it's really a blast to see the 4th graders reading with the kindergarten students, and they do that quite a lot. Goal 3, improved attendance. So if you don't come to school, it's hard for you to learn, right? So as district, we track attendance, and then we do what we can to encourage and support and, I guess I would say, when it's a problem, we address the problem. So our goal was at least 92% of attendance at an average monthly statistics. We do have an attendance team that meets weekly. We track the daily attendance, and we, just like the district does, we send letters at 5 absences, 10 absences, and 15 absences, and then kind of beyond 15. But one of the things that's been really effective this year has been actually contacting the parents and having parent meetings. They come in, and every parent has been grateful, actually, for the call, because I think our goal is to ask them, how can we help you? not to judge you. How can we help you? What is it we can do? And I can say in every single one of those cases that people that have come in to meet with me, it's improved dramatically. So the personal touch does make a big difference. The other thing, we post the average monthly attendance in the board in the hallway, and the winning class gets recognized at our all-school meeting. We also recognize perfect attendance quarterly, and we announce it at Monday meetings, monthly meetings. But we tell people, we're not asking you to come to school sick. We're asking you to come to school if you're not sick and you think, well, maybe I don't really want to go to school today. We're asking them to sort of tough it out and be there. I meet with the students that I'm worried about, and we talk about what strategies we can have to help them. And again, I think the conversations are making a big difference. And we also meet with those students and sometimes have incentives to improve attendance. Challenges we still have, tardy students. You can tardy if you're after 8:45. And we'll have kids now, they're walking in at like 8:50 as opposed to 10:30. So again, little incremental progress, but it's still a challenge. And kindergarten attendance, many people think, well, they're kindergarten, so they don't have to go to school. Which is true, not the mandatory attendance starts at 6, but the more we can have the kindergartners in, the better that's going to be. So, kind of what are a couple of success stories? So we've seen impressive growth in our first grade this year. So when we talk about moving levels, we moved 5 kids from below grade level to receiving Title I intervention to on or above grade level. That's a big thing. It's not little tiny increments. That's a big show of progress. We have 12 students in the first grade, and 7 are at grade level. Fourth grade, Title I students showed 47% growth in numbers of words, reading aloud during assessments. Second grade students receiving Title I have shown marked improvement in reading accuracy, indicating that they're making growth in their individual word banks, going from like 58 to 79%, all the way to 81 and 99%. Third grade, looking at oral reading fluency, students receiving the Title I programs support 50% of the group has made gains approaching grade level with 98 to 100% accuracy. So, I think there's lots of work to do, but we have some important positives. Teacher feedback, as I told you, one of the things we're working on is culture. So when we do PD and we do things with teachers, we ask reflections, right? And particularly, what did you take away? What's your impact? Like, how are you a better teacher now? And I love to read those. But one of the things that I was excited about is that, with the exception of one that I read, positive change in instructional practice, and the teachers could articulate exactly what they can now do that they weren't doing before. And that's huge. Classroom walkthroughs and observations, we just did it the other day, and the people from the state said, wow, any feedback we're giving you now, it's like tweaking it. It's not, we don't see it, you have to put this in place. So that was really exciting, and I did talk to the teachers about that, and they were really jazzed up. Social emotional, 37% reduction in the overall incident report since the beginning of the year for physical aggression and name calling. 15 students have been issued the Newton Way Awards. 25% of the fourth grade students were selected as junior coaches to help out for recess. So if you don't know what that is, it's kids that apply for the position, they get selected, there's certain things they have to do is to stay a junior coach, and what they do basically is they go out onto the playground and they help play and supervise with the younger kids, trying to help them, teach them the language of, you have a conflict. Okay, what can you do about it? So today, in the cafeteria, the 2 kids were arguing about who was first in line. One of the coaches went over and said, well, wait, let's stop. What's the problem, right? So he told him, he said, well, why don't you do rock, paper, scissors? And if you do rock, paper, scissors, just whoever gets it gets to be first. That came from the kids. So I thought that was really pretty special. So I'm really big, and we're big on student leadership. Parent connection, we had 94% of people attend parent conferences, whether that was orally, by phone. I mean, teachers were really generous with their time because they know it's tough for parents and it's so important. Increased attendance at our all-school meetings. There used to be like maybe a row of people. Now we sometimes have to get more chairs. So that's a showing that people are feeling more connected to the community. PTO, I have to recognize Mackenzie. She is our PTO president and has done a lot of work at Newton. And I told her, I tell her frequently, well, we doubled the participation of the PTO, because we used to have like 3 and now we have like 7 or 8. Little steps, baby steps. Full house at our family events. We did a celebration of growth last year, which I'm going to do again this year, the first week of June. Classroom teachers can pick with their students and their families a day during the first week of June where they pick a 45-minute to an hour time, and they invite their parents in, and their parents come in, and the students do whatever it is they want to do to show off the learning that they've done. So we're going to do that again this year because that was super popular. And we have some parent coordinators this year, which really is going to help also. In terms of next steps, we have to hire a phenomenal principal. We always need to start with our why, increase parent communication. We are going to work with, is it SSOS? Is that how it goes? Kelly was talking about the progress. So I was really excited when I learned about the work that you did and the progress that you made. So the school will be working with SSOS next year. And then I think the goal here is to stay the course. Focus on the needs of the students. I tell them every day, we can do hard things. This is important. You can do this. And we are not going to give up on you. And the kids buy into that, and I've noticed a lot more stamina and excitement. I do want to tell you one really special thing, though. Newton School, in the calendar fundraiser, raised over 600, they did 600 tickets. 617, I think, was the total or something. Now, that's crazy, because our goal was 500. So the kids earned a bunch of stuff that we're scheduling now. The kindergartners did different kinds of dress up. They were hysterical. I've never heard of a Disney princess or Disney. What was it? Disney troll. But they dressed up like Disney trolls. Lots of pink. I can tell you. We have 3 staff members that are going to get pies in the face. We have 6 staff members that are going to do the ice bucket challenge. Miss Silk has this skill of drumming, some kind of drumming thing she does. She's going to do that with some students. We're having a dance party. The kids can choose the music, of course, with our approval. And we're talking about doing a 4th grade volleyball game. Not volleyball, what is it? Dodgeball. But because they sold over 600 tickets, they have a choice. They can duct tape me to the wall, or I will kiss a pig. Right now, the pig is winning. So they thought I was going to kiss a stuffed animal pig. I said, no, you sold 600 tickets. That's do better than that. So anyway, I think somebody's getting a pig, and I'm going to kiss it. So, and the last thing I just wanted to quickly tell you about is Roland had spoken with Carol, the new superintendent, about the new principal search. And so, I said, I'm happy to help you. And so Roland said, yeah, let's do it. So the position was posted, right, obviously, in around December, early January. So to date, we've received 13 applications. 13 are certified. We basically are going to interview 7 people, and Roland just actually mentioned somebody else that might be interested, so maybe 8. And we screen them for certification, if they had leadership experience anywhere, right? Building base, both district air and building base. And then we looked for, did somebody use PBIS? All the things we're working on. If somebody had experience, we put them in the list. I did go through them with my school council, and the ones that were my maybes, they agreed that they weren't of the caliber of the ones that we're going to be interviewing. So I put out the call. If we have a survey out there for qualities in the next principal. And then search committee, I've got 5 staff members, 3 parents I'm seeking, and I just got, from sending it home today, I just got at least 1 email. And then our goal is to select the finalists to be able to be sent to the superintendent on Friday the 17th before vacation. So that's all I have. I will want to just thank you, though, when I talk about joy. This has been a real joy for me to be here. Coming back home, I started here in my career many years ago, so coming back home and enjoying, when I was a superintendent, it's not a job that brought joy. It's a important job, and I loved it, and I did it for 20 years. But this is a job that brings me joy every day. So thank you for the opportunity to be part of the Newton School community and the Greenfield Public Schools. Here you go, Jill.
Great. Thanks so much. If you give me just a second, I'll share my screen again.
See, you're more organized, too. Oh,
You could keep going.
no.
Thank you all for having us here, inviting us to share about our schools. My name's Jill Taglia, and what's that? Am I not talking into it enough? Is that better?
There you
Okay,
go.
all right. Going off Carol's last statement about joy, it's a joy working with you, Carol, and with Kelly, and with all of you. So I'm excited to tell you about AEL. I'd like to tell you a little bit about who we are, and then our goals, and then how those goals work into the vision that we have for AEL. We are, it's really unique. I've never been in any other district that has a preschool that is a school that is all preschool. So this affords us a lot of really unique opportunities in what we do. We have a capacity right now to have about 105 students. Usually we hover between 80 and 90, 95 as in these last months of the school. As students turn 3, we get more and more and more kiddos enrolling. So in this February, March, April, we get really full. We operate with a full inclusion model. So in every classroom, we have students with and without disabilities. We have 6 classrooms this year. 5 of those classrooms are full-day classrooms, run from, the full school day, 8:30 to 3. And we have 1 classroom that has split sessions, an AM class and a PM class. And we have amazing staff, some of whom are here. Yay! A wonderful team. We have 6 general education teachers, 1 special education teacher. We have amazing team of instructional assistants this year that help us, and we're really fortunate to have amazing service providers for speech and language pathologists, occupational therapy, and physical therapists that work with our students. It's an incredible team. Also want to shout out, we have amazing families. Some of our PTO and family members are here virtually tonight, so thank you to them. And as our high school student was speaking, I was remiss in not including, our community. We have, over the last couple years, developed a really nice relationship with GHS, and they have students that come down and read with our kids and just, hang out a few times during the year. It's a great opportunity for our kids to play and be read to by older students, but it is equally wonderful for me, and I think for our teachers, to watch high school students and how they just rise to that occasion to take on that leadership and be mentors to our little people. This year we have 3 school improvement goals. The first one revolves around standards of our teachers becoming more familiar with the pre-K standards and really internalizing those and how they play out in our lesson planning and class activities. This year also focusing intensely on literacy. Our second goal is around universal design for learning, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. But because our classrooms are, inclusive, we are trying to learn more about how to anticipate issues that students may have and build in accommodations for all students to remove barriers so that everyone can access the content and learning going on. And then the third one is around our data collection and progress monitoring. We take data usually around IEP goals and that kind of thing, but also, which I'll also talk about in a little bit, we are looking for a curriculum so that we can begin to take better data around literacy, foundational literacy, that kind of thing. So the next slide shows, this is a visual model of our vision at AEL that we have worked on for the last couple of years to develop and refine. We serve students ages 3 to 5. We're a full inclusion model, and we are play-based because play is the work of 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds. That's how they learn best. So if you look at this diagram here, I'm going to explain each little component of it. Let's move to the next slide so I can start just talking about the different pieces of it. So everything that we do is encapsulated in building a culture of care. And that, we've talked a lot about what that means. And in that, we are constantly talking about kindness, how we are interdependent on each other, treating children and each other with dignity, empathy, growing that empathy, and play. Because play, like Carol was talking about, play brings joy, and joy is central to everything that we do. We want students and families to enter Greenfield Public Schools and be excited about school and feel that joy of being part of our district. So also in this slide, in creating the culture of care, we have a new social emotional learning curriculum this year called Komochis, which focuses on feelings, but on communication. It was developed by speech and language pathologists. And so unlike some other SEL curriculums, this one focuses very much on how to communicate our wants and needs, how to disagree, how to make mistakes and have do-overs, which kind of flows into the restorative practices initiative that's happening in the older grades. But this is really developmentally appropriate and one of the best SEL curriculums I've ever seen. So we do a lot of work with that in every classroom. Our speech and language pathologists support this curriculum and rolling it out to students, and then teachers use the language. We're all trying to use the same language and build the same expectations for our students. The next piece, communication, is in the big diagram, is in the middle, because at the heart of every single thing that we do in preschool is communication. That's what 3 and 4-year-olds are learning how to do. It's central to everything. So in communication, we're talking about spoken and unspoken communicating, behaviors. In 3 and 4-year-olds, behavior is, it's for all of us, but especially at this age, behavior is communication. They're trying to tell us something, they might not have the words, so we are helping them develop that. Building social relationships, everything is key to that. Our speech and language pathologists have developed a website that has been pushed out to families. They can access all kinds of activities. This is one of the things that's great for every kiddo, even if they are not receiving speech and language services. These kinds of things are building that foundational literacy, building that vocabulary, and building the social emotional piece as well. Then we have three, and then we go back to the diagram, three sort of bubbles of that kind of all mix together. One is around routines and expectations. We spend some time at the beginning of the year where teachers talk about what would we like to roll out in the first 20 days of school? What routines do we want to build? How can we be proactive and invest the time up front to practice, what do you do at school? How do we treat each other? What routines are going to be in our day? So we share, our teachers collaborate and come up with those things that they want to prioritize to set the tone for the year. And those things are revisited throughout the year. Every time we go on break and we come back, we kind of have to start over, and that's okay. That's what we do. One of the other components mentioned earlier, universal design for learning. This is a big one because we have such a wide variety of learners in every classroom. We've done a lot of professional development around accommodations and supports for students. We want to be proactive and anticipate what kinds of struggles our kids may face, things they may or may not understand, and how can we build in supports for them to help them to be successful? How can we remove anything that might be a barrier for them to access what we're doing in the classroom? It's around, I said firm goals and flexible means. We have firm expectations, but we can find lots of different ways for students to access and meet those goals. And then the other piece is really working on knowing our DESE standards and the district strategies that we have worked on since I've been here, the instructional strategies. And this year, we were lucky enough to be awarded a chance to work with a PRISM grant through DESE. And so we've been working all year long to look at different high quality instructional materials for especially focused on literacy, and there's a list of different curriculums that DESE gave us, and our teachers have worked to select from that list and narrow down which ones we would like to pilot. And so we began Monday to pilot one of the curriculums that we looked at it's called Boston Focus curriculum. It's an open source curriculum, and we just rolled it out Monday. We're trying it out, and we will run that for 4 weeks, and then we're just in the middle of discussion about, I don't know. We'll see how it all goes, and then we meet and we discuss, and then we'll hopefully at the end of this, in the spring, in June, we will make a selection and a commitment to something, and then over the summer, make sure that we have everything that we need to be able to roll it out in the fall. And along with this curriculum comes a way for us to better collect data and show some of the things, that around language and literacy and our progress. And then the last slide is just some of our wonderful students and the things that we do. And I think, people tend to think, oh, preschool, it's so cute. And it is. It is really, 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 really super duper cute. And it's a lot of fun and there's a lot of joy, but it is a lot of work and it's a lot of intentional planning and decision making and designing by these experts back here behind me. It's not just drop them off at school and let them go run around. It's very purposeful, the work that we do, and it's, I think my time here and being in this role now, I can have a kind of like a global view of how powerful early intervention is and how powerful these early learning years are, and the impact that it truly makes and the foundation that it lays is incredible. When I visit, I visited the elementary schools a few weeks ago. I just kind of stopped in, and when I see the kiddos that have been at AEL and what they are doing, I want to give every one of these guys the chance to take a day off and go see that, because it is powerful and you can see the foundation that has been laid and how they are able to grow from that. So thank you so much for listening.
Great, thank you all. So appreciate hearing about the wonderful work that's happening in each of your buildings. Committee members, questions, comments? I got Member Goodwin, and then Member Detman.
I think I have two questions, and one is a comment that goes back to public comment about unfunded mandates. Through my career with pre-K and all the lovely unfunded mandates, as a NIAC administrator, as somebody who has suffered, I had joy in my heart when I took, I can't even remember what it was called, but Joan Shell was all about it. And I took it and I threw it in the trash. And it was a joy because it was a pre-KK thing. And we realized that it took more time to collect data than to actually teach. So I guess never feel afraid to, again, remember the joy, not just the, they are heroes. They do everything from teaching children how to not bite, not hit, to laughter. I think of all of the things that without pre-K wouldn't happen. So again, I go back to those unfunded mandates and people who make decisions about our little children who probably shouldn't be. So find joy in that. And then I have a question. We were very proud to be a responsive classroom district. Most of the people who worked in our schools were trained. Some people even had level 4 responsive classroom. And when we started talking about restorative justice, I thought I saw like a link between the two. Are we still a restorative justice? Are we still responsive classroom, or have we walked away?
Yeah. So I would say that within the district, there are still a lot of teachers who were trained in restorative classroom. But that is not something that we continue to train our staff in, so we cannot say that we are a responsive classroom district.
Yeah, I'll jump in. The reason we were looking at them kind of like, who's got, not a lot of history, right, with Stephen and I here and a few of the other new principals in that sense, but right, going forward with the restorative approach.
Yeah, I would say we're responsive to our students' needs. That's why we're collecting the data and trying to identify what their specific needs are. But in terms of a packaged approach, responsive classroom, we're no longer using that. Haven't been in the 18 months since I've been here.
I mean, I would say that, like you said, there are parts of it. For example, rules and logical consequences. Most of us still develop the rules in relationship with the students, and the consequences are logical, as opposed to you're punished, right? So that's, I think I see a lot of that, right? I see some morning meetings still happening just as a way to, start that day, the building community. But it's pockets, right? It's pockets. Yeah, like we don't really have, we're talking about SEL, right? We don't really have a district SEL curriculum, but that's something that.
We use Second Step.
We use Second Step, yeah.
All right, thank you. Member Diamond?
Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to hear about some of the progress that's being made in these schools. My daughter attended AEL, and we had a wonderful experience, so thank you. I have 3 points, some with sort of a question component. First of all, there's a motion tonight to create an ad hoc committee to study the state of literacy in our schools. It's a motion by Member Goodwin, and I hope to serve on that committee. I'm very interested in literacy, and I'm happy to hear that we're making good progress. It is clearly one of the most important things that we can be doing right now to prepare our students. So I look forward to working with you more directly on that topic and finding solutions. So I wanted to know if there's anything on that you want us to know as we're going to be studying that data going forward about the relationship between literacy in our schools on the one hand, right? And then there's a sort of tension that arises because it seems to me that we're using UFly and Lexia and programs that are pretty computer-based right now. And then I'm starting to hear from some parents who feel that their children are spending too much time on computers in schools. So if that's putting us at an impasse, I would like to open a dialogue with you all about how to possibly overcome such an impasse. And then finally, the last thing that I wanted to bring up is the issue of sugary foods in schools. I think that it's our obligation to provide healthy foods for our kids, and my daughter has informed me that she has access to Lucky Charms at school. So I just want to informally invite you to take a look at the situation on that front as a favor to me as a member of the community.
I think you just became part of the wellness committee.
Yeah.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? Go for it, Member Goodwin.
Carol, if I don't see you, thank you so much. The journey to walk from Newton, the best day was when I walked in and you were there. So thank you.
It's been a joy.
All right, I've got Member Childs.
A quick comment. Thank you for all of the hard data you've provided tonight. And more than that, thank you for caring about our kids so much.
Great. I'll ask you all the same questions that I asked your colleagues. How are your staff? How are they doing? And how can we help? What do you need?
Well, I feel like our staff are hardworking, they do what they need to do, they show up. And I think that my guys are a little anxious right now, honestly, because they don't know what's going to happen, and they've had some leadership changes that haven't lasted long. So they're sort of getting comfortable, and I said to them, you shouldn't worry because now this is part of the culture, right? So somebody coming in will see that the culture is strong, and they're not going to just turn everything over. They're going to, they're going to see what you can do. So that's what they're worried about, right, is all the work that they're doing and have done is going to be somehow. So, I just reassure them, and I'm glad that I'm part of meeting the candidates. I think they feel some security in that because, they trust me. Not that I'm picking the person, but they know that I'm involved. So, but otherwise, there's not enough time. there's not enough money, right? I mean, so we overcome the challenges, right, as best we can. But they show up, and our kids are getting some great opportunities as a result.
I'm a little,
We can ask the teachers.
first I will start by saying how grateful I am for everyone sitting back there. I would say, honestly, our teachers are fantastic. Our paraprofessionals are fantastic. We have a very skilled staff, and I would say that, in all honesty, everyone is probably at capacity. The need is intense, and it is growing. And I'm not exactly sure what the solution is to that. I think it is about time, and it is about funding to have adequate supports. I think something at the preschool level that I think there is a certain, we're not mandated. Preschool is not mandatory. There sometimes it just in our society in general, you look at preschool and kind of like, oh yeah, but it is. We need the supports. Like we need a full-time school adjustment counselor because there are intense needs for children and families. And if we can get some of those supports in place for children before they leave AEL and move on to the elementary schools, I think it will benefit everyone. So I guess I just would say the investment in pre-K will not be wasted. Any investment you put there will pay off because these guys can do the work. They have the expertise and they can do it, but we need the supports. I guess that's it. But
I would just support what Jill is saying. I can tell the students who have been to preschool when they enter kindergarten. And, in this environment, I have definitely seen fewer. So there is a little learning curve and a little bit sharp curve, but I have to say that I'm so thankful that we have AEL because it is serving a very important purpose for the students who are here. Right, I have to say I noticed the difference, and I'm excited that you're looking at some more of a curriculum, maybe that can dovetail a little bit with what they're expected to do in kindergarten. Yeah.
So at Federal Street, I think my staff is amazing, and I'm sorry that it wasn't a part of my presentation because they really they have been committed. They are creative. The teaching staff has been very courageous in the last few years, in my opinion, in being willing to think outside the box, to do the things that we're asking that are new, implementing a lot of new programs. They've done so professionally, and they've really taken ownership, and they're really proud of the progress that they see in their students. Our instructional assistants are fantastic, and I have to mention our great custodians and our kitchen staff because it's just such a warm place to be, and I'm reminded of the initiative that Carol was talking about when we did the raffle fundraiser, and the whole staff was willing to do silly things. Our custodians dressed up, and our kitchen staff, I forget what they did, but every IA volunteered to do something silly just to get the kids excited, and it's because they're all here for the kids, and so I think they're really amazing. What I need from you, I think just a continued commitment to early literacy, and some patience as we roll out our restorative practices work, because that certainly takes a lot of time to see the culture shift that we're hoping for. So, thank you.
And can I just say one thing about what you were talking about having a committee or a task force, I think you said, right? So I would just ask that any task force or any people that work on it be really engaged with gathering information, right? Don't make assumptions or listen to one or two things. Just really come in and do a real look at it, because I think if I believed what I was told when I went to Newton, I wouldn't see what I saw, right? So it's super important, I think, if you're studying something, to really engage with the people who are actually doing the work, assume positive intention, and figure out, okay, so what's the problem we're trying to fix? And, please keep people engaged, because they would have a lot to say, and you would get a lot of really important information from it.
One more thing, too. Sorry, just one more thing. I just want to shout out also to the leadership team in Greenfield right now. Roland, you have to leave.
Yeah, Roland.
Wow. But thank you for everything that you've done. I think the principals and Stephen, in the time that I've been here, it has become a very cohesive leadership team, and there's a lot of initiatives that I see really gelling, and so I guess just continued support for that team and really listening, because it's a really strong team with great ideas, but it takes time to pull it all together, but it's happening. And I look at that kind of from a little distance, because preschool's kind of like a little different, but I see it all. There are connections being made and things are gelling, and so don't give up. Just keep on supporting people. Thanks.
Thank you all so much. Wait, you have a question? Wait.
I just have a comment. Thank you for putting a photo of my kid up on the screen.
All right, really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening. Thank you so much. All right, we are moving on now to reports of the administration, and I'm going to attempt to do something a little different. I know, I'm going outside the box. I would love to assume that each of you have come prepared, having read the materials, and that we can move straight to, do you have any questions for the administrators? And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, as much as I love looking at the littles. So cute. Yeah. Do you have any questions around any of the reports? Anybody? You kind of do. Go for it.
Well, maybe not. Were we getting a Yonder pouch update?
Oh, yes, I asked for that a month ago, but I didn't see it on the agenda, so I was going to ask to have it.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to follow through.
Great. Can we make sure that that happens in May? Great. No, thank you for bringing that back up. All right, Member Deneve.
Is assuming that we have read the reports something that we are going to be doing going forward? And if so, please.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Great. Happy to. Are there, okay, any other questions? Any other things before we move on to our next set of items? Seeing none, let's move on to our consent agenda. Oh, sorry. Yes, Roland? I don't want to butt in, but I do. Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, please go ahead.
Just want to acknowledge the absence of our business manager tonight, Andy Paquette. He would be available if we needed him via online, but he is at the induction ceremony of his 2 daughters into their National Honor Society tonight. So congratulations to he and his family for that. Some of the information you have before you obviously is just some enrollment figures, which are pretty close to the same. I do want to give a couple shout outs during these time frames, which sometimes I don't have time to and won't. Chair Sexton and I have talked about this, create some of these things, but some quick shout outs to GHS senior Kanza Nasrullah. I don't want to kill that name, so I apologize, but on March 9th, received the MLK Junior Award at GCC. So congratulations to her for receiving that. Many of you have talked about the Yellow Conference or meetings that are coming up. I have a brief description from Mr. Martin at GHS. Talking about that on Friday, April 17th, the History Department at GHS, in collaboration with Dial/Self Youth and Community Services, will host the annual YELLOW, which is Youth Engagement with Legislators and Officials, conference in the GHS Library. A few dozen students will have the opportunity to meet and engage in discussion groups with elected officials from the Greenfield School Committee, City Council, and other town committees, as well as state legislators. This year's main topics chosen by the students are 1, municipal finances and budgeting, 2, AI in schools, and 3, drugs, alcohol, and vaping amongst teens. So you are obviously all invited to that, and that's going on, so thanks to Mr. Martin for organizing that. I want to mention that I was able to attend a great play by the high school drama club, The Secret Garden, which was fantastic. Everything, the acting, the scenery, all things that went about it, and they did such a nice job that they did a presentation and invited our 3rd and 4th graders from our city schools, our elementary schools, to go and see it in the daytime before they had their first run at nighttime with adults. And the students did a great job sitting there, being attentive, and being a great audience. Also have another shout out to GHS senior Ash Bigelow, who presented and participated in the Academy of Music's Regional Youth Poetry Slam that happened last Friday, April 3rd. And many of our students did, but Ash competed in the slam and made it to all 3 competitive rounds and then won 3rd place with a cash prize. So congratulations to all those students who performed their poems, showing great vulnerability, courage, and strength. I'd also like to mention that yesterday, Mr. Sullivan and I were fortunate enough to attend the Greenfield High School Poetry Slam after school. And Ms. Pollock, the school librarian, runs that club and does a wonderful job. They had students presenting written poems that they wrote, faculty members as well. They're doing the same thing, and I mentioned to her and many of the students and participants afterwards that I was amazed at the creativity and how they could, I'll just say, write poems. Sometimes I don't see myself as creative in that sense of doing it. Maybe I'm more of a scientific, linear type of thinker in that way, but I was very impressed at what they did yesterday at Greenfield High School in their own poetry slam, which they hold once a year. So shout out to all those who participated. And just a nice acknowledgement today. I came in before this meeting. I spent a little over an hour with Coach Kashevsky, who is our athletic director, walking around over at the fields at the high school. They had a boys varsity baseball game and a girls varsity softball game going on, and when I left, they were both winning. So hopefully they did a nice job, and finally, as many of you know, a nice day to somewhat be outside with the weather only getting better on that. So those are some of the brief things. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any other questions? Any more questions, given that? Sweet. Seeing none, moving on to item 8, our consent agenda. I'll look now are there any items that a member would wish to remove? Member Childs.
So from item A, I did not see the minutes for March 25th in our packet, and I also did not see item B in our packet. So at least I didn't see them in the drive, and I looked for them.
If I may, Chair?
Yep.
You do not have March 25th. when we created the agenda, that somewhat of a placeholder in case we had those. Those are still being produced, I guess you would say, in that one. And yes, it would be appropriate if you would pull out B, and then I could explain that after.
All right, so the new consent agenda is item A with the exception of March 25th and no item B. We'll pull that out. Are there any other items that members would wish to consider separately? Okay, seeing none, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as
Second.
presented. All right, we've got a motion and a second. I don't think we do discussion on a consent agenda, so please call the roll.
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes. All right, approved unanimously. And now, Superintendent, if you wouldn't mind, item B from that agenda.
Thank you. Each year, schools in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are presumed to be participating in school choice. And if you choose not to participate, the public school system, they have to let the state know by June 1st of each year. We are currently a participant in school choice. This is of accepting students, not sending, right? We have no option in terms of doing anything that way. This is for taking students in from outside of, students who live outside of Greenfield in that sense. So under the school choice laws, as I mentioned, everybody is presumed, all districts are presumed to be participating in it unless you vote not to in that sense. So it's worded in the positive there because all your motions, as you're probably aware with the rules, need to be worded in the positive. And then if you chose not to do it, you would vote no on that. I would maybe assume, maybe wrongly assume that you've been a participant for years and that you would continue to do that. I would support that in that sense. We do not have to right now tell what exact slots and what exact grades. I printed some different things, but if you look at the school choice list online, you can pull up every city and town in Massachusetts that does it, and many will actually have a line that says contact the district for the openings, et cetera, like that. So I bring it forward to you. Not so sure if you want discussion or need it, but if we are going to do it, you really don't have to take any action. I guess if you wanted to not do it, you would make a motion to do it, but then vote it down in that sense. I don't know if that makes any sense. I hope it does.
It does because of the sort of arcane rules that we're working with. So, given that, would anyone choose to make a motion to bring this up? And with the assumption being is that if you are putting the motion on, because we don't actually have to vote to do it, we have to vote not to do it.
But you probably could vote to do it, and that would just be
Okay,
affirmation. Yeah, it would be an affirmation.
sure.
That you do it, right?
All right, then I look for a motion for that. Are you making the motion? Great.
I move that we continue to engage with school choice and follow the superintendent's recommendation for number of seats per grade.
Excellent. I would second that. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Great. Will you please call the vote?
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes. Excellent. Passes unanimously. You're very welcome. And now we are moving on to item 9, school committee reports. Mine's pretty short, but at one of our last meetings, we did have a bit of a question came up about how we do this particular procedure. I did do some research about exactly how this happens when you are trying to wrap up a discussion and proceed to a vote. You actually, when you are making this, if you're in discussion and you're noticing that the same point is being said again and again, you're like, I wish we could just wrap this up. Some person can make a motion to call the question. That actually does need to be voted on and needs to pass with a 2/3 majority before you proceed to the vote on the motion itself. So that needs to happen, and there's a good reason for why that happens. It's so that if you have a majority, of people who have, who look like they're going to vote in a majority, that they can't artificially stifle a minority set of opinion. Everyone needs to at least have the ability to be heard, even if they don't necessarily win the day on the main motion. So that's just for our notes for the future. If that situation comes up again, we will better be equipped for how to proceed. That's my report. Any questions on that? Sweet. Let's move on to budget and finance, please.
Okay, in the packet, you've got the short report, and also in the packet, you have the minutes from both of the subcommittee meetings that have happened since our last full one. I won't go into the one in between the budget hearing and budget vote because I think we're budgeted out for at least 3 more days. And the next one was about warrants. Most of the questions were pretty simple. Here's the question, here's the answer. The 2 places where we're still looking for more clarification. One of them was a discussion about district landscaping options that we are waiting to hear back from the administration for how much flexibility we have. So we're just waiting for info there. Then the question that we really wanted to raise was about our social media expenses and communication service subscriptions. We wanted to make sure that we were paying for A, what we're using, and B, what we need and what our families need. So the Budget and Finance and Warrants Subcommittee would like to request that the Community Engagement Subcommittee work with the administration to obtain information on our family expectations, needs, and engagement metrics so that we can make sure that we are paying for what is best for the district.
Okay. Thinking through our order of operations for just a minute, that it sounds like a formal request of another body, and that means that we all have to agree and task that separate subcommittee with doing that work. So is that in the form of a motion?
Sure.
Can you please state it in the form of the motion for the benefit of our recording secretary?
Okay. I move that the school committee request the Community Engagement Subcommittee to work with the administration to obtain information on our family expectations, needs, and engagement metrics so that we can ensure that we're paying for what best serves Greenfield families.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Yes, Member Deneve.
I'm so glad that you are looking at our social media costs. It's definitely important to send that to the Community Engagement Subcommittee. That would be in their charge. So I just have a comment on past history because I'm the one that brought this up a few years ago, I believe in 2022. And we sent out a survey to see what parents would like, and they came back saying that they would like social media. So I guess what I would say is I'm a little bit surprised how it's happened because it's been very expensive and the engagement has been low, but also something just to think about and look at in the subcommittee is that there are 4 or 5 very active Greenfield parents pages on Facebook, and there's Greenfield parents hashtags on Instagram, and people interact in those spaces, but we do not as a district. So we're not posting the things in the spaces where the parents are looking. So as a social media user, I could very easily give you all of those pages, and I used to regularly post in them when we had subcommittee meetings and regular committee meetings and things that would come up because I noticed that the district was not interacting in those spaces, and that's where the people are. So when you're ready to look at that, shoot me a message and I'll send you all of the spaces where they are, and that's where we need to be doing the work, and that's why we have no engagement.
Sure.
I just want to make a statement that all of our buildings, most of the PTOs or even GHS run their own separate pages, and like Member Geneve says, that's where we're finding the people. We're not finding them on the Greenfield Public School Facebook page. They're more in the little niches of the Friends of Discovery School or Federal Street School or the Newton Friends of Newton. And a lot of those groups also support each other. And I think, I'm wondering when people talk about they follow on social media, if that's what they're referring to, and maybe not the Greenfield Public School page. And I think AEL has an Instagram. They're not on Facebook.
Okay. So it sounds like that is going to be a little bit of homework for the Community Engagement Subcommittee and for them to find out what they actually would want from a district page as opposed to a page that they run themselves. How would they like that interaction to be structured, if at all? And, you know, learning a little bit more about what types of content they're looking for, what's like a social media worthy versus what is a robocall worthy, like getting into some nitty gritty. But I will leave it to you all to figure that out if this motion passes. Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns that you would like to raise before we vote? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes. All right, thank you. And community engagement, please go forth. Policy and program.
All right. We met on March 30th for our first subcommittee meeting of the year, and we've agreed to meet every fourth Monday at 6:30 p.m. remote only. We set several goals, some of which are lofty. One of our goals is to search through our policies and compare and contrast them to other districts using the MASC hosting portal. And we will figure out a way to make this a digestible process and clean up any typos and grammatical errors as we go. Goal 2 is to add legal opinions we receive to the materials when they are not of a confidential nature. Goal 3 is to create a style procedure for attorney communication, which was a hurdle that I unexpectedly ran into. So that's something that will end up in the handbook so that future committee members who have to interact with council will know the best course of action to do that and how to format communication. Goal 4 is to add duties of the chair and vice chair to the handbook, which is something that we discussed at our last policy meeting in 2024, and I had it on my circle back to do and then never did it. So I need to write that and add it. And that's going deeper than what we actually have in our policy handbook at present. And then goal 5 is to have an end of the year reevaluation of those goals and preparation of continued work for the next subcommittee members. So that would be in November or December of this year. We discussed quite a few policies, and we have a really big list for the end of this month. We postponed our evaluation of the digital use policy, IJNDB, until our April meeting, so that'll be on the 27th, I believe. We're going to invite our IT specialist and hopefully Mr. Sullivan to answer our questions regarding AI and its use in the district, and that will also give us some time to look at what other districts have in place for the use of AI. We had some policies that came back for a second read that you all approved in the consent agenda. That was the field trips, waiting 24 hours to sign warrants, and the non-voting student member, which I think is really interesting because we had a conversation about whether or not we wanted to do that and how that would fit. And there's already a policy that says that we should be doing that, so we shall implement. So the next step, just so you know, is I'm going to send all of our second reads to legal and have him just take a gander. And if he says they look great, we will adopt them as policy. If he says no, I will bring them back for a final read and just tell you what he says. And so that's how the process is going to go. All of the things that you brought up to send to policy, there's like 5 or 6 of them at this point. And he would like us to keep them in groups of no more than 5 at a time. So that's another thing to add to the handbook. I will send those to him shortly, and he will digest those and spit them back to us, and then we will continue this wheel so that we get all of the things updated that we need to get updated. So the next step for the JIB student policy, very exciting. I hope you're all excited about a non-voting student member sitting on the committee. Member Deitman is going to reach out to Angela Mass to coordinate with the student council and get their thoughts and find out where they are in the council process. We don't actually know if they've done any votes or met as a group yet. And I have a feeling that I'll hear more about this at the YELO conference on the 17th. So we'll keep you apprised as to what their situation is, and then hopefully we can figure out how to meet and enact this policy. And that's it, if anybody has any questions.
Just an update, I did write that email.
Wonderful.
So I hope to hear back from Ms. Mass soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Great, and at this time, I don't believe that the Community Engagement Subcommittee has a report. There was a minor technical difficulty, which is being resolved. Okay, moving on to new business. Member Deneve. Yes, so item A, motion from Member Deneve to have the school committee develop a procedure for drafting, acting upon, and archiving resolutions. And when you say school committee, are you meaning policy, program, and handbook subcommittee?
Well, it's funny you should say that because I'm not really sure, but probably yes. I think that that's where it's going to have to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the full committee is going to have to give us that charge if they so choose. So I bring the motion before everybody. But, okay, so I'll bring that motion and then would you like me to rationale upon discussion or rationale now?
I would like you to motivate the motion, and then we can see if that gets a second.
Okay. I move that the Greenfield School Committee develop a procedure for drafting, acting upon, and archiving resolutions. Because we are a legislative body, and one of our tasks is to use our position as the county seat to elaborate upon what we believe to be important in our school culture, the movements we want to see in our municipality, and the things that we want to support. And so we need to put our weight behind these beliefs to develop our school culture and then send them somewhere. We don't just say, we believe in this, great, where does it go? It needs to be a gift, really, to our legislators, to our city council, perhaps to our mayor, to our citizens, and there should be a formal document that says, we do this, we believe in this, go forth in our name and do this. And that should be forwarded. And I spoke to Senator Comerford's office about this, and they said they would like a formal letter. So I thought, well, okay, what is the formal letter? Where's the template? How do we do it? Who does this labor? So I think we need to make a procedure for that. Those of us who want to bring forward resolutions should probably write them ourselves and present them in a formal letter, and then the chair should probably take those and do the action. So like the city council would love to have our resolutions that we passed recently so that they could adopt them as well. And the more bodies that put their names to this, the more traction it has, and the more that our legislators can say, hey, we've got all these people in Western Mass that believe this, school committees, city council members, mayors, what have you. We want to show you that we have support for this particular idea, this bill, or this concept. So that's one of our charges as a committee.
Okay. Having heard that rationale, is there a second for this motion?
Second.
Great. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? I'll just say I think it's a great idea, and I do want policy and program to do it.
Policy and program is happy to do it. It would probably live in the handbook, and maybe we would see if there is already a policy for it and make those two things connect.
Wonderful. All right. Please call the roll.
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Woohoo. All right. Item B, motion for Member Deneve to have the school committee support Bill H1399 to modernize retiree Medicare healthcare for municipalities.
Sorry, I just closed my window.
That's all right. Short motivation and then we discuss and vote.
Man, these school Chromebooks, they go real slow. All right, this is the Medicare retirees bill?
Yes.
Okay. I move that the Greenfield School Committee support Bill H1399 to modernize retiree Medicare healthcare for municipalities. This is a gift that we can give to our mayor in these very difficult times. This is an example of how we can put our power behind this idea and give the mayor a formal resolution that says that we support this. And we could also give it to the city council and to Senator Comerford. And it's a bill that proposes allowing municipalities to move Medicare-eligible retirees from traditional group insurance to individual Medicare plans through a health reimbursement arrangement. It aims to reduce municipal costs by 20 to 30% while offering lower monthly premiums for retirees. The bill is currently in the House Ways and Means Committee. So I think that the action that I want is to support the mayor, seek the support of the Greenfield City Council for this, and to send the resolution to Senator Comerford.
Okay. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second. Is there any discussion? Yes, Member Goodwin.
So I'm going to be voting no, and because I've really looked at this, and they haven't answered some really serious questions about what they're going to do. I think I agree with the concept, but the details aren't there. And so as somebody who is a retired educator, I kind of want the details. And so I've been looking for those. I've been reading, probably following this really carefully. And I think it's a reaction to the increase in healthcare. So your retired people don't work for you anymore, so let's do this. So I'm really feeling like the details have not been clear. So I'll be voting no.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Seeing none, Member Webb, will you please call the vote?
Secretary Webb, I'm going to abstain. Vice Chair Childs.
Yes.
Member Deneve.
Yes.
Member Deitman.
Abstain.
Member Goodwin.
No.
Chair Sexton.
Abstain.
Does it pass?
Yeah.
There were 2 yeses, 3 abstentions, and 1 no, then yes, technically.
You sure about that?
Yes, because abstaining is the same as not being present.
Okay.
Does that mean that?
I'm sorry, point of order. I don't agree with that interpretation. Stephanie Duclos on Chapman Street.
I'm sorry, but members of the public do not have the ability to make points of order.
We do have points of order when they regard actual policy in our ordinance. Please refresh yourself on Robert's rules. I'm saying that you might want to look at the interpretation of what an abstaining vote
sorry.
is. Thank you.
Thank you. I might ask that we actually table, like we took this vote, but I might actually ask us to lay this on the table and come back to it again when we have a better sense, unless someone wants to look at Robert's rules right now and get a better understanding for us about what that actually means to have an abstention.
I am always for being better at Robert's rules. I would say that the school committee is one of the best bodies in this city using Robert's Rules, and I often feel really proud of how aware we are of Robert's Rules. I've taken multiple classes on it. So anytime we need to stop and look up Robert's Rules to make sure that we fully understand, I fully support that, and I have no problem tabling it. This was something that I thought the mayor would really appreciate, so I don't know if it's time sensitive, but
Yeah, I'm not sure either. One of the reasons that I abstained was because I don't really know a lot about this bill specifically.
Support tabling it, because maybe they'll get the details by.
Secretary Webb and effective
I also
parliamentarian.
abstained because I'm not as familiar with this as I would like to be. And I feel like having the mayor here would be very helpful. So I don't know if we can rescind the vote and possibly table this.
I think we can. We can vote to rescind the vote.
Motion to rescind that vote?
Great. Can you call the vote about rescinding the vote?
Sure.
We love municipality politics and rules.
Secretary Webb, I am a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
yes.
Mayor, she's not here. All right, Member Diteman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes, okay. So we have rescinded the vote on item B, and now I would like to say, we're gonna put that on our May agenda and revisit. Yes, Nan?
Who seconded the motion to rescind the vote?
I believe Member Goodwin.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll come back to that. Item B.
Do we have to have a motion to table it?
Yes, Do-
Sorry.
that's all right. It takes us all of 30.
In the
it's
spirit
fine.
of Robert's Rules. And I'm glad that we're rescinding things and changing things, like we should not be afraid to use Robert's Rules and flex it.
Flexing our little muscles. Yes.
If I may, I am not an expert on Robert's Rules, but I think we did hear this the last meeting, that tabling.
Oh, right, postponing, it has to,
Okay,
you're so
yes.
right, you're so right. We have to postpone, not table.
That's right. Great. We are postponing and not tabling because at the end of a meeting, if it's on the
take it
table,
back up,
the table
yeah.
gets wiped clean.
Yeah, the table
So-
gets turned.
It's postponed till our May meeting. Very good. I think that I might actually have the ability to just do that.
I do not know that. Do we want to look that up and learn?
We will look that up and learn, and for now, we'll vote. Please call the vote about postponing.
Who seconded the, I have, Member Deneve's the motion to postpone.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. Please call the vote about postponing this item to our May agenda.
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Diteman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. Moving on. Item C, motion for Member Deneve to have the school committee support Bill H 560/S391 about climate literacy brought to us by Mass Audubon Statewide Youth Climate Leadership Program.
Sorry, me again. All right, so this came to me from an email from a constituent who asked that we would support Bill H 560/S391 about climate literacy. So I move that the Greenfield School Committee support this bill about climate literacy brought to us by Mass Audubon Statewide Youth Climate Leadership Program. It aligns with our values, it aligns with our mission statement. It tells our youth that we support their climate initiatives and that we understand that their planet is suffering, and we are going to work with them as adults to preserve life on this planet, is really what it says. So I think that it's really lovely that the Mass Audubon, I'm going to get their whole thing correct, that their Mass Audubon Statewide Youth Climate Leadership Program contacted us. That's really nice. That means that they understand that we're a body that can lend support, and the email did say that they understood that we have a sustainability club at the high school and that they have worked with Greenfield students on these projects. So that's why I brought it forward at the behest of this group.
Great, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second? I will second this. Discussion. I see you, Member Goodwin.
A, is there a cost? And B, do they have a structured curriculum that they want us to use, or is it up to us?
I am not sure that I can answer that question, but I could forward you this constituent's email, and you could ask them personally those questions if you like. I think that what they're gathering is support statewide from many school committees that they've worked with in Western Massachusetts particularly, maybe. That's what I got from the email, but I can forward that to you and you can pursue those questions, but I think that they're just looking to gather as much support as possible.
Yes, to my knowledge, because this is supporting legislation, not necessarily supporting a mandate for us that we would enact at this exact moment. There's not a specific curriculum. This is sort of supporting a broad, like, as another state sort of initiative.
It comes from Rep.
That I'm sure
Dom.
then would go through another 3 or 4 years of implementation, regulation, promulgation, that sort of thing. So this is not something that we will have to turn around in the fall.
What we would be doing really is just supporting our Amherst neighbors and Representative Dom of Amherst and saying, hey, your neighbors also support similar things and we stand with you in solidarity. Often these resolutions are just that. It's not really anything more than showing solidarity and support in a formal way. But it is our charge as a body.
Okay.
For information, I'm looking at the text of the bill right now, and it calls for creating a fund, for creating a separate fund known as the Interdisciplinary Climate Literacy Trust Fund. So this is all a state-level initiative.
So the state's making the fund?
Yes, that's what the bill calls for the state to create the fund. Yes.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion on this item before we vote? Okay, please call the roll.
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Geneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes. All right, passes unanimously, thank you. Item D, I just had a quick question about, because I was pretty sure that at our last meeting, we did this one already, and we empowered Nan and the superintendent to do their thing, and I believe they've started doing it. Great. Could we just get like in May, could we get how's that going? Yes. In May. Perfect. Yeah, you got time. No worries. So moving on, I think we can get this last one done and take a break before we go to old business. E, I would like to make a motion that we dissolve the redistricting and reorganizing ad hoc subcommittee.
Second.
This is a formal, okay. We've got a second. Just a little bit of rationale. This is the pre-existing body to do essentially what I'm asking us to do in item A under old business. And so in order to do the correct procedure, we dissolve one in order to bring another forward.
Could you read the motion fully?
Yes. I move that we dissolve, as the school committee dissolve, the redistricting and reorganizing ad hoc subcommittee. If we do that, then that entity, that named entity, no longer exists. And then we can choose to have something come in its place that is roughly equivalent, which is item A under old business. Or if we don't do item A, then we don't have a body that does that kind of work at all. Or if we choose to not dissolve, then that body would still exist, and we would need to double check that the members who were part of it last time, which I believe were Member Deneve, myself, and the mayor, would still be willing to serve on that, but like there would be we would see if that is still functional and viable, and if its mission is still aligned with what we need currently. So that's the consequence of the vote. We either dissolve it and move on and do something new, which is related but a little different, or we don't dissolve it and we proceed from there. So just to give a sense. So I've made the motion to dissolve the redistricting and reorganizing ad hoc subcommittee. Would
Second.
anyone- We've got a second discussion.
I think we already had a second.
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
We had a second. Discussion. Yes. Sorry. Member Goodwin, Member Deneve.
I think that the ad hoc was a good start, but now we need to look at all of the different options that are out there. I mean, so many people are having conversations about buildings and, declining enrollment. We're not alone. And I think there are people who've been talking the talk for 10 years and looking at all of the bigger picture of our county. And I think we need to be part of those conversations. This was looking at within. I think it's not just within. We need to look at our neighbors as well. I mean, there's different ways to stand by your neighbor. And the one thing I've learned by subbing at a high school is all these children know each other. They are friends. It doesn't seem to matter where they go to school. So I would say I'm a yes for dissolving it, because I think we're going to end up creating something that's bigger than that.
All right. Thank you. Member Deneve?
I'm fine dissolving it. But I think that something that has to be really truly digested is that this was the first subcommittee ever that reached out to the public and had listening sessions and interacted with constituents and parents and teachers to find out what they really wanted. This is the first time that as a body, we really interacted with people to find out what they wanted from the perspective of a subcommittee. There were other things before. There was the STAR group. You all did work on that. But the amount of data that we compiled and the amount of information and preferences of the people that we serve that we compiled is really valuable. And when I talk to people about redistricting, there's this feeling of like, oh, well, that was just like stuff you just did and we don't care what that was. And so it's really left behind all of that work. And that kind of makes me really sad, because we gathered a lot of good information and we really heard where people were coming from. So I would say that as this new entity moves forward, to make sure that you get that information before you begin, because we have sort of this history, I've noticed, of collecting information and then nobody knows where it went, nobody compiled it, and nobody has put it out there for the public. So we really were diligent about compiling that information, and it is there, and there are outlines and information and bus routes and walking routes and lines, school boundary lines. All of that was done, and it is all compiled and available, and so do not turn away from that information, because a good portion of the work is already done for you, and you could build upon that in a new way, and do not reinvent the wheel.
Noted. Thank you. Any other comments, discussion? Seeing none. Member Webb, will you please call the vote? Item E, we're calling the vote. Sorry, item E under,
Vote to dissolve the
Yes.
redistricting, reorganizing ad hoc subcommittee. Secretary Webb, I am a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes, with an honor to all the information that came before.
Chair Sexton,
Yes, absolutely.
passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you. All right, at this time, we will have a 5-minute break, or generously 6 minutes. Please come back at 8:40, and we'll get on to the rest of our business.
So to answer the question about the majority of the votes cast, if 2 people vote yes and 1 votes no and 10 abstains, the motion would pass. However, it says if it's a tie vote with more abstentions than actual voters, it fails. But it says local organizations, such as city councils, et cetera, may have rules that treat an abstention as a yes or a no vote.
I found our rules. BEDF voting methods. All actions will require a majority vote of all members present and voting, except as state law, Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, or policies of this committee require a larger majority. A majority of members of the school committee will constitute a quorum. So it's ambiguous.
Yeah.
The stuff I see says it would pass.
Yeah, MASC says if you abstain, it's like you're not there. If you use those words and they.
But it says if it's a tie vote, so if it was like 2 no's and 2 yeses and 3 abstentions, it would fail.
But if we go with the not there, then 4 people aren't there, so you don't have a
We
quorum.
don't have a quorum, 3 votes.
Because the mayor's not here. So I was just,
Yes, this is something.
I would love to have it.
We found one of the weirdest edge cases.
All right. It is 8:41 and we are resuming after our break, getting ready to take care of some old business. So we're on the set of items under 11, and starting with item A, picking up a little bit where we just left off. Motion from Chair Sexton to have the Greenfield School Committee create a long-term facilities use advisory committee. There should be a whole plan that actually articulates and at this, for the first time that I've ever seen, follows all of the things that are listed in our policy manual for what sections are needed to describe the creation of an advisory committee, to really directly respond to the discussion that was had on the last item. Part of what I wrote in the creation of this is that we would use the information generated from the prior redistricting or reorganizing subcommittees as a starting point and assess from there what additional information we might need in order to help us make decisions. I am purposefully wanting to create this also as an advisory committee because that gives us the ability to pull in members of the public. So this would have representation from the school committee. There would be, I'm proposing 3 of us, and the 3 members that I had listed back in January were actually myself, Member Deneve, and Member Webb to be on this committee. And then kind of how we did the superintendent search, we would put out a process whereby members of the public, and we could decide, how many teachers do we want, how many, parents do we want, are there other members of the community that we might want who have, who represent special knowledge or skills related to potentially like real estate or other things like that we might not have on our own, but that we would create the process whereby those people could apply, and then we would decide and create that advisory committee. There is a deadline that I've put in here of next May, so I believe next May, to give us about a year to do the study, get the information, talk with people, like get real work done, have a recommendation to come before the fuller body about what are we doing, like what is our long-term vision, what are there any big choices that we need to make? And then it would be sort of on us from there to take that recommendation, take any votes that we need to, and proceed. I'm really interested in making sure that any option that we have is given like serious consideration, that we do like our due diligence, we do deliberation, and that the decisions that we're making are both grounded in current feeling and sentiment, as well as long-term, like actual real projections. What is going to happen to our community? We can't necessarily know, but we can gather information that can help us know, that can at least help us have a good guess, and that can provide some rationale for why we're moving forward in the ways that we might move forward. So this is sort of my rationale for why I think that this structure is a good one for us to move forward with the understanding that it is going to be fully like with the public with us, not just consulting them, but having them be part of the process, as well as making sure that we are building off of what has come before, and that we are, not engaging in that process of having data that we don't actually use or feeling like we need to recollect. The rest of it that I've put in there, I believe, is in the proposal I've made itself. So at this time, I would be looking for a second.
Second.
All right, discussion. Member Deneve, Member Goodwin.
I just want to confirm that this is an updated proposal, because I actually didn't read this one, because I read the one that you had previously in the packet, which was different. So I just want to, this is updated.
So this is updated, and I can tell you exactly what those updates were. They were changing the date, like the due date for when we would have, because I actually, when I was thinking about order of operations, I would love for us to either have a strategic plan or this plan in place first, so that one could be incorporated into the other. And I figured we can get this to come first, and then give ourselves like the rest of 2027 to work on a strategic plan. The other thing that I believe that I updated was adding in having a dedicated thing that we want to know about be regionalization. So there are a few things that I name in here that I would like us to, like, I don't know exactly how we will organize this in our advisory group, but potentially that looks like a task force of 2 or 3 people that goes and does research and presents to us as an advisory committee, and then we sort of summarize all of that and bring it here. About, I think regionalization is one. There's some specific language in there about building closures or even like building new buildings, if that is like essentially not committing to anyone at this time, but doing the legwork that we know we're going to need to do to make an informed decision. And then sifting through all of that, saying we think that this might be our best fit moving forward, and then we bring that recommendation back here in about a year.
I really appreciate you explaining that, and I'm sorry that I didn't read this because I was like, it's the same thing as the one that I read before. So I've got it now. I've got it now. Okay, because I was like, I was reading the other one and you had something about a 2-year thing, and I was like, I wasn't sure. So I'm glad that thank you for referencing the policies. And I want my motion templates to look as nice. And I just want to say that I'm really thankful that you are doing these kinds of templates and rationales. And I really like doing the motion templates and rationales. And I'm sneakily saying to all of you that you should do motions and rationales so that we can all read it ahead of time and know what you're thinking and be prepared and do our research prior to the meeting. And that's really important. And that's, I think, a hallmark of a really good school committee, and that's what Pioneer Valley Regional does. And that's what they told us we should do. And their meetings are only 2 hours. So, yay.
God bless.
And if at some point in time you want to have like a motion template for all of us, like in a Google Doc that we all use, that would be really, really smart and would make us a more functional school committee. So thank you for
slowly but surely.
Yes, slowly but surely, and I will be voting yes.
Great, thank you. And then Member Deneve, or sorry, not Member Goodwin.
I guess I just have been talking to people who've been looking at this for over 10 years. And when you started to explain, it sounded like a really big group, and I don't think a really big group is gonna, like, my sense is it's gonna have to be small, dedicated people who this is their, like, how can we best use our buildings to serve the children? May, you think? Well, you can always continue.
If need be, but I honestly think that a year's worth of solid meetings.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I think that in the proposal, I actually name, or I list the specific number. I want to say it's 12, 11 or 12, maybe 13, somewhere between 11 and 13. Members of that advisory committee, 10, great, even less than that.
Additional 10 advisory committee members.
Yes, and plus 3 of us school committee members.
13.
Member Childs.
I really like having the community directly involved, and I really like that we can make sure that the community involved do represent the community, and it's not just all weighted, all parents from one school. And I don't think the size of 10 plus the 3 is an issue, simply because realistically, 10 people committing over a year, you're going to have some people who can't make it to all of them, and some people, probably not very many, but some who will have to drop. So I would be hesitant to go a lower number, because then you might end up with a committee that no longer reflects the community.
Member Goodwin.
I would just encourage you to look at whoever was on Building and Sites last.
Great, thank you. All right, it looks like we might be ready to call the vote. Let's do it. Oh, wait.
Is there sorry, I could use my eyes and read this and probably answer my own question, but is there a provision to perhaps have somebody from City Council involved in this? I think that would be really helpful if somebody from Ways and Means or Capital Planning would be involved in this. If I don't know if you have a liaison in mind.
I do not have a particular like person in mind. I definitely, we as the three named school committee members who would essentially comprise a kind of steering committee of sorts for this advisory committee, would have broad discretion of creating the call for other participants and choosing those participants. And certainly I think strongly advertising and encouraging our city council people, like at least one, like do some dedicated outreach and be like, hey, you should be on this with us, is part of that. Yes, Member Webb?
Does it list, I don't see, I'm looking at a quick overview, it doesn't list myself and Member Deneve and you on this committee?
Yes.
Or it does?
I am referring back to the subcommittee and representative assignments from January, where I had initially listed myself, you, and Member Deneve, and I would still support having the three of us be that small group.
Okay, so when we are voting, we're voting on also on the three of us being on this committee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? That was a good clarification. Thank you. All right, please call the vote.
Secretary Webb, I am a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Abstain.
Chair Sexton?
Yes.
Passes with 5 yeses and 1 abstention.
Great. Thank you very much. This next item, item B, is a discussion about if and how to proceed with mediation or conflict resolution for us as a body. You might remember that we did vote to sort of engage in a contracting process, but then discovered that the executive session rationale that we wanted to use to make sure that we were having these kinds of discussions amongst ourselves in private, because I don't think being in the public would have suited actually having good discussions. So we were not able to proceed in that way. We have done some further digging about like ways that we might structure this so that it's not, it wouldn't be a formal mediation, but it could be a place for us to generally talk about the relationship that we have as members together, which I think is honestly good practice. And I think any healthy partnership or group should talk about how they're doing as a group at least once a year. I mean, I do this in my own like friendships and other groups that I am part of that are not necessarily based in friendship, but are based in common goal and aim, which we do share, a common aim and a common goal to steward the resources of our schools, our school district. And so, you know, given that, I would like to just ask the question, is this something that we as a group would still like to try to pursue? One, and then if so, how would we like to do it? So, for this particular item, I would love to open it up and have more of a free discussion. I'm still happy to keep stacked to make sure that no one's talking over other people, but yeah. So, if, yes, no. If so, how do we want to do it? I'm seeing some confused faces. Our options, after doing some digging, we are allowed to have working sessions where we do not deliberate on specific items that would need to come before the public, but it is in general talking about how we work together as a team. Those do not require public session. Yes, Member Deneve?
Did you include my letter to the Attorney General and his response in the materials?
Did those get included in the materials? I don't believe they might not have. Which means that we would need probably to talk about this in a month and have those materials there.
I mean, I published my letter online. I did. It was It was fine. It was nice. They were very kind, and they encouraged us to do this with a mediator if we want to. But to be honest with you, in order to get work done, we don't have to do it harmoniously. Like, people don't have to have harmony to get work done. You can get work done in conflict, and like if like all the negative emotions, if like anger and conflict and passion is what gets a fire under our asses to work for the students, then so be it. Like, I'm not afraid of conflict with any of you all, so like bring it if you want. It doesn't bother me. If that's what makes us work, then great, because I've been trying the harmony road for like a long time and it doesn't work. So maybe as a body we don't need that, but also I have learned the lesson recently that you don't have to like, agree with, or trust the people around you in order to get work done. So I don't necessarily know that mediation is going to help the vibes not be bad, but, and that's okay. I don't expect that I will ever get what I need, like personally, from this committee, so I do not seek it anymore. And that's fine for me. But if people want to engage in order to create better vibes and better experience together as a group, I am all for it, and I am here to support that and engage with that in any way you want, and we can do it. And our attorney would not have allowed us to violate open meeting law in such a flagrant way. And I think that's also important to state.
Great. All right. Yep. Member Webb?
I'm just going to say that I feel that as a committee, we have definitely done a lot of work since January without mediation involved. And I think a lot of members I think everyone is doing their best to put their best foot forward.
Member Goodwin?
I guess I agree with everything that's being said. I mean, I feel like we're all sort of working really hard to move forward. So, I mean, I
Great.
haven't even thought about this. I mean, when I saw it, I was kind of like, I forgot all about it. So, sorry.
I actually love to hear that. I will just say that from my experience tonight, I haven't felt bad vibes. Tonight has actually been kind of nice. And I feel like that has been the case for our meetings for the past, maybe with one exception, for our past couple of meetings. But even then, to the point, conflict in and of itself is not a problem. Like, people are gonna have conflict when we have differing opinions. That's not an issue. Making sure that we do have the kinds of processes to resolve and then continue productive collaboration during and after conflict, that is important to me. But if I'm hearing that folks feel like we actually are fine and that we have these mechanisms in place, they are being utilized, and folks are feeling great, then that delights me, and I would say let's move on. Are there any other people who would like to make a comment? Or have like strong feelings, or? All right, Member Childs and then Member Denise.
I agree with what's been said. If we feel the need for team building or direct conflict, I have a really big video game library, and I am happy to set something up for us.
Excellent. Member Denise?
I mean, I'm not like into spilling tea, but if I came to mediation, I would come with screenshots. Like, I have screenshots of abusive and harassing behavior from members. So, like, I can live with that. I'm an adult, but, like, that kind of stuff shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. I shouldn't have that, but I do. So, like, if me saying this right now means that it won't happen again, then great. But if it continues, then I'm going to pursue mediation because I don't want that to happen, not just to me, but to anybody on the committee. So I guess if we could cast our minds back to our training with Liz LaFond, who said, like, don't spread rumors and say nasty things about people online, that would be great. And maybe, like, we could be a more mature body, because it reflects on all of us. And it causes, like, not just hurt feelings, but damage. So we're all on a path together. We're moving forward. We can conflict. We don't have to like each other, but, like, civility is really important. And we've seen incivility, but we've also done more work than I've ever seen this committee ever do before, like, ever. Like, we're doing massive amounts of work. So, like, I commend us for that, but, like, let us be good examples to our students about the things maybe not to do to each other. That would be great.
All right. Thank you. Yep, I agree that we, as a baseline, it is incumbent upon all of us to treat each other with dignity and respect like we would any other human being. And in the absence of people wanting to specifically resolve things right now, or feeling like we can move forward, and if other specific instances arise, we can deal with them as needed, I would suggest that we maybe move on from this discussion and go to item C. I really appreciate everyone for sharing their perspective, and appreciate this committee and its willingness to move forward and get work done on behalf of our students and our community. So thank you all for that. Let's set some meeting dates for our budget. We don't need to do that. Do we need to do that?
No, I've been in constant communication with the mayor's office, and they're working with the city council office, if that makes any sense to you. And they do not have dates yet from the city council in terms of what order of things would be happening on what dates.
Okay.
They're going to be presented with the budget on April 22nd. They believe most things would be happening in May and June. So once we get those, they are working on that right now. Once we get those, we'll be in contact with everybody. If there are additional dates in May that we may have to discuss and or pass or do things with the budget. So nothing tonight.
Great, thank you. I actually would like to postpone item D again, mostly because I think I was supposed to be bringing this as trying to resolve something that was brought up under the last chair, but I actually need to refresh my own self on what we're actually doing with that motion before I present it to you. So, can I get a vote to postpone item D to May?
So moved.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second.
Good one.
Good one. Can you please call that vote?
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Geneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
All right. Okay. Revisiting item E, motion from Member Deneve to support the Mass Foundation Budget Review Commission.
I think that this one is not in the materials again, which is fine. I mean, I'm happy to read it. It'll just take me a second to find it.
Why would that not be there?
I sent it the month before, and then it didn't make it in, so I was saying, this is based on the public comment that we received. We were all here for that public comment?
No.
Oh, man, it's like lost in my drive. What is that bill? I have my motion pulled up. I'm happy to read it to y'all.
Please proceed.
Okay. I move that the Greenfield School Committee create a resolution to convene a new Massachusetts Foundation Budget Review Commission, and then send that resolution to the City Council for approval and send it to Comerford. So this came from a public comment about the Massachusetts Foundation Budget Review Commission, which was created in 2014 to evaluate and recommend updates to the Chapter 70 school funding formula. So this is about revisiting Chapter 70. And we haven't done, like, the state has not done that in a very long time. And we have gone, like, we went to the State House three years. I went and talked to them about this. We've organized meetings with other school committees. We rallied the school committees. I won like an award for this. Like, we went, we talked, we dined, we lunched, all the senators, all the reps, like, did the whole thing to try to get momentum for reopening Chapter 70. And Comerford wants to do this. I think that it would be really good if we, as the county seat, say, yes, we've been fighting for this, we want this, the city council wants this, we all want this. It will make other school committees in the surrounding areas also sit up and take notice, especially if our local newspaper writes about it and says that we're willing to support this, so that we can get a little bit more momentum on Chapter 70 funding reform, which we badly need in this budget crisis. So I added the bill tracker, I believe. Or no, this one doesn't have a bill tracker, I'm sorry. I added the bill number so that you can look it over. I hope everybody looked it over. I'd sure love to do this, So that's my motion. I guess I need a second.
Second. Yes, Member Goodwin.
So I've been writing to people, I'm all over this. I feel like I dream about Chapter 70 formulas. I just think there might be a different name. Does it have a different name? Like the group that's saying redo Chapter 70? I thought it was more, I don't know, I'll go with it if that's what you think it's called, but I just wasn't sure, because I thought it had the title, like, it was more down with Chapter 70. It was sort of like a little more aggressive.
I don't know,
Sounds
but
too friendly.
this is what prompted my resolutions thing, because
Okay.
I was talking to Member Deitman about it, and we were like, oh, we got to write a thing. And I sent a letter to Senator Comerford, and she's like, please write a thing, write the thing on a
Alrighty,
formal
thing.
thing, put your like header on it and GPS on it, and like do the thing. And we had no like formal way to do that. So I was like, oh, okay, so here we are trying to do this stuff, we don't have a way to do it. So this is the very first one that bumped me up against that. But when I wrote to them, I used Foundation Budget Review Commission, and they wrote back and were like, yeah, the Foundation Budget Review Commission. And in public comment, they used that. So if there's another name that you're used to, like, send it over, or if you want to write the resolution and or do this labor, great.
I just would love the word equity after budget, because that's the whole issue, that Chapter 70 is not equitable to all school districts. So it's an equity issue for me.
Well, it would be great if you were interested in writing it or like adjusting it, because we've done a lot of this.
Well, let's just go with what it is, and I will continue to write things to everybody about the bad math they're doing.
And I think it's also important to lend our voice to this, because we're not a rural school.
No.
And we're that in-between district, and so we're not going to benefit from the rural schools built. But yet we go and we support our sister districts who will benefit, because rising tide lifts all boats. But we also need to advocate for ourselves, and so that's going to come through Chapter 70. So that's my rationale.
Senator Comfort today sent an email that said she had gotten money for Greenfield.
Right, the supplemental budget of 250,000.
So
I was
I
going to
guess-
ask you about that.
My question was that go to us or to the mayor? Okay, just checking.
We love that. Member Childs.
I remember just a few months ago, Comerford invited us to a big event, Greenfield High School. It was packed. I was there with Member Goodwin, and we both spoke on this topic. The auditorium was packed with people from schools all around Western Massachusetts. I think it's important that we keep the pressure on them, because if we ease up, that gives them an excuse to stop looking at it. They're not going to do anything unless they're forced to, so we need to make sure we force them to. Or if anything, it's the threat of more emails from me, which hopefully will scare them.
Great. Further discussion? Yes.
To be clear, the Foundation Review Commission, I'm learning about all of this, right? It existed, it did its work, it gave a report in 2015. Is that all correct?
2014.
Okay.
No, yes, you're right. 2015, it issued its final report.
And there has been no such commission since then.
They have not revisited anything since then, right?
So what
Oh,
we're,
Roland's got it.
Well, the speak out you're all talking about that people went to, I believe, November, it may have happened. In that sense, they did 4 across the state, and we were fortunate to host one here. That is a review commission. That is the first time in the last 11 years. I think we mentioned this as well before, that by the time they even do any of this and produce this report, they're hoping, from what we heard, to produce it in June, hoping to take everything they learned from any emails that you may send, from what they heard at the public speak out, et cetera, any studies that they've done, hoping, you understand what I'm saying, to produce it to the legislatures in June, who will then go on break for 2 months, and then not touch that until the fall.
28.
At that point. And should anything happen throughout this coming fall and winter, many believe you would not see any action in a change of any type of review, even for the FY28 change, would not see it. Maybe the slightest possibility of that happening for that next cycle, but this current FY27 that we're starting to budget for, no, you will not see any review or any change in that.
Yeah, they said FY 29 or 30 at the earliest on
Correct.
the Zoom.
Yeah, like I mentioned, probably not even 28, so
Yeah.
you are correct, Member Denise.
Yes, but to be clear, this is just one opportunity that we have to continue to show our support for us and our neighbors to get what we deserve from the state, because they need to pay they need to pay the lion's share of education if they want to keep their preeminent place. And the formula that we use needs to be equitable, because right now it is producing disparate outcomes for districts. Okay. I think we're ready to vote. Please call the roll.
Secretary Webb, I'm a yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Denise?
Yes.
Member Dykman?
yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Wonderful. All right, we are now on Section 11, Item F. A motion from Member Goodwin that the school committee form an ad hoc committee to study the current state of literacy in our schools. I will say that I am not against this motion, but I might actually ask that you, and presumably, I think you were working on this together, you and Member Dykman, produce a written document that has a little bit more of a rationale and also a plan for this ad hoc committee. It needs to have a very specific charge, and we need to know, like, what is the final outcome that you're going to produce, and just give us a little bit more shape so we know really what we're voting on, and how you want that committee to sort of be, just the shape that it's going to take, deadlines, due dates, all of that sort of stuff. So I might respectfully ask that you do that and come back to us in May. Is that reasonable?
Sure.
Thank you very much. So in the meantime, can we get a motion to postpone this item till May?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Please call the vote.
Secretary Webb, yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
I'm happy to work with you on that, drafting that.
Great, thank you very much for that. All right, item G, motion from Vice Chair Childs to revise policies BEDH, public comment at school committee meetings, and BEDHE, guidelines for public comment, to remove reference to address and replace it with relationship to the schools.
Well, first, thank you to whoever looked up the specific policies, because I was just vague. This is going back to what Liz LaFond said about best practices, and also it's really invasive to ask someone their address and not as useful as asking them how they are related to the school, be that Greenfield community member, educator, family. So I think it's pretty straightforward.
Great. I'll second this motion. Any discussion? Yes.
I already have this on the list for policy for April 27th, so we'll review it and change it and bring it back for a second read.
Sweet. Do we need?
So we can just withdraw the motion.
I thought we had to vote.
Well, not if it's withdrawn, we don't have to vote. Oh, wait, are we voting to send it
To a subcommittee.
Or did we already?
We already voted to
Yes.
send it to policy, so I have it on my list of policy to-dos.
Then we can just,
Yep,
it's gone.
it's gone,
Sweet. We'll just
Not
remind-
really, it'll resurface in May.
Yes. but it-
following the proper channels.
That's right.
Perfect. Okay.
Same with H.
Same with H, so that's already.
Same with H, yep, I
I
have
don't
it
know
on the
why these
list.
are continuing to be like this. So they're being handled. Okay, so then we can move on to number 12, a vote to enter executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union, blah, 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 non-union personnel. And item 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. I do declare. The committee will return to open session to do the vote that you see as item 13. So, looking for a vote.
Second? No, vote.
I think we just vote to enter executive session.
So moved.
Great. Second. Move, second, whatever. Please call the vote.
Secretary Webb, yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes.
Passes.
All right, we are entering executive session at 9:19. We will return to open session. Welcome back, everyone. It is 9:49, and we are resuming public session. Moving along to item 13, a vote to instruct the chair to sign the memorandum of agreement from the Greenfield Education Association.
So moved.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All right, will you please call the vote?
Secretary Webb, yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes. All right, passes unanimously. I will sign that. Now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Great. All right, motion and a second. Please call the vote.
Secretary Webb, yes. Vice Chair Childs?
Yes.
Member Deneve?
Yes.
Member Deitman?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Chair Sexton?
Yes, we are adjourned at 9:50 PM. Thank you, everyone.